Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today I wanted to go over this Xenoblade Chronicles character tier list, and I just wanted to do this because I just made the big Xenoblade 3 and Sonic Frontiers video, and I've already done a Sonic Games tier list, and I was thinking, there aren't that many Xenoblade games, so, I could rattle off three, two, one. Those are my favorites in order. But none of them are bad. I just, that's how I prefer them. But, I was thinking, how do we get more out of this? How do I do another tier list? And I was thinking, oh, Xenoblade Chronicles characters. Haven't done any of that really, so let's dive into it. So first up here is Sharla, who I'm gonna put her in B tier. I like her a lot. I think she has one of the better character arcs in terms of I think she illustrates the cost of the war a lot better than most of the other characters, because Fiora, she comes back to life. I think that her arc is a lot more interesting, just given, compared to some of the other characters, it's not as deep, but she has, I think, one of the more, I think it helps relate to what's happening, that she has a direct loss of somebody in her life, that she loses her fiance. And yeah, I think she's cool. I won't give her too much credit though, because she doesn't do a whole lot past her introduction. But yeah, I like her a lot. I'm gonna add this. Don't remember enough, because I think I remember most of these characters, but if it's, maybe it's been a while since I've interacted with them, or they just didn't make that big of an impression on me or whatever. So we'll do that. Speaking of, I think this is why I'm gonna put them in D tier. And if I can find X in here somewhere, that's not X, I don't think, or maybe it is. I can't. I'm going to assume this is X until we see otherwise. X and Y, they're good. I think they have some cool stuff, but they end up feeling like the fulfillment of that criticism that the consoles are just kind of mustache twirlers. Like, I think that's a fair take, and yeah, I struggle with them. At the same time, I don't actively dislike them, but I think, we'll get to Z, but I think he's a much better, I think, like, I would almost say that, like, because they are avatars of Z, I would maybe be willing to put them, like, in the same tier as him, almost like disqualify them. But as they are, I don't think they're super interesting. Fiona, I don't remember you enough. I'm sorry, I didn't do your hero quest when I was playing it through again. When I was doing my new game plus. Mio, immediate S tier. Oh, what to even say? Like, I think Mio. has a great character arc. I think she's one of the best written characters in the franchise. Uh, I struggle with some of the characters who are like paired up. Like, it's hard to think about Pyra and Mithra as separate characters, even though the series really treats them like they are. Um, but yeah, I think Mio really manages to escape that because she has a lot of her own relationships with the group. She has a dynamic with Senna. She has her relationship with Noah. She has a bunch of her own stuff going on, especially since she is the senior of the group. So I think she just does that really well. I think she manages to strike that balance really nicely, especially since Noah is basically, I mean, Noah's the main character and he gets a lot more, but Mio manages to still keep up with him, and I think that's really smart. Um, I've forgotten this guy's name, so I think unfortunately he has to go and don't remember enough. Um, what I remember of him, he's cool, but he's kind of, he and the lady in Torna are the least interesting members of that group for sure. Um, Vandam, Vandam Xenoblade 2. I'm gonna put him in a solid B tier as well. I think he he's really good as a like motivation for Rex, as a mentor to him. But I think that's kind of all he ends up being. He has a really great arc that has a he his story concludes quite nicely, and it's interesting to see how he becomes kind of a catalyst for maybe not everything that happens in the franchise, but a good portion of some of the like relationship stuff, like some of the family tree stuff you see starts with Van Ham because Rex kind of takes his name, so that's pretty cool. Um, Gray. Gray, I'm gonna put in C. I think he's a pretty stereotypical city character, and I think he kind of. It's weird. I typically love edge lords, and Uni plus Gray should be like one of the funniest combinations to me. But for some reason, their dynamic just didn't really do a whole lot for me. Um, that said, he's still like a good character. I think especially like once he takes the mask off, a lot of that charm gets kind of destroyed. Manana, I'm gonna put Manana in C tier as well. No, I'm actually gonna put her in B tier. I think I think it's nice to have the contrast of like Riku, who's so over serious, because we're used to Nappan being, especially Nappan party members, being really silly all the time, and then Riku is kind of a contrast to that, but they still have Manana, so I like her a lot. Um, Rex, I'm gonna put in A tier because I think he has a super solid arc, and I really like him as a protagonist, but he's not my favorite character from his own game. Um, and he's not. I think that he kind of suffers from a lot of Xenoblade 2's problems of being like, where one is very much just a shonen straight up. I think two leans into that, like, we're gonna have everything that anime can be, we're gonna put that into two, And I think Rex suffers a little bit from that because he's tiny. He's also like a power fantasy male wish fulfillment character. Like there's so much going on with him that brings him down from S tier for me, which is a shame because, the Giga Chad himself, uh, especially in Future Redeemed, I think Rex is peak. I think that's the best version of Rex by far. I think there's enough to like about him that he kind of manages to exceed the stuff that's weighing him down, but I think it does hold him back from S tier. Uh, you same as I don't remember your name, so yeah. Glimmer. Glimmer, I was thinking about her and I was thinking, she's also one of my favorite characters. She might be my favorite non-legacy character from Future Redeemed. Uh, Especially if you assume A is not if you just assume A is Alvis, which is maybe not fair. She Glimmer might be my favorite. She might be the best written because the way she manages to like reintroduce the player to the feelings of somebody who has been fighting for Agnes for her whole life, that whole life being less than 10 years at that point. Like, I think she does a really good job of that. I think she has a really solid arc. I love the little like relationship stuff she has with Rex, obviously being her or his daughter. And yeah, I think, it's no coincidence that these two are in fact Rex's children and are at the top of my list. I think whatever lessons they learned with Xenoblade 2's writing, they were able to give them to some of Rex's children. Zanza. Zanza's weird. I like Zanza a lot. I think the twist in one is really interesting. Um, I'm gonna put him. I'm gonna put him in B. I'm gonna put him in B tier because I think he ends up feeling a little bit like generic evil god, right? And especially given we know a lot more about Klaus post 2, and we know a lot more about how he thinks. It's understandable why why he might turn evil like he did, but it's his actions seem a little bit too like intentionally malicious in a way that for Xenoblade 1 as a game feels right because that game is about perspective and how people lie to us and there are Shulk says a world without gods, but what he means is a world without some kind of uh back end hierarchy of being. So I think, in that sense, Zanza really works, but then you take him as a whole and he kind of feels a little bit one off compared to, I think Jin and Malos feel really essential to the franchise as a whole. And, you know, that doesn't just come from their canonical representations in 3, but also their thematic uh, through line. And you can watch the Luxon video about that. I'll link it in the description. Juniper, don't remember you well enough. Metal Face, or Mumkar, I believe is his human name, but he's Metal Face. I'm gonna also put him in B tier. No, I'm gonna put him in A tier. I think he just works well as like kind of an Act 1 villain, mid villain, Act 2 side villain kind of thing. I guess Xenoblade 1 is kind of 4 acts, so yeah, he's kind of Act 2 side villain. Not much else more to say about him. Tora, I don't hate Tora as much as most people do, but that doesn't mean I like him that much. I think Tora is a little bit of a creep. He has a solid arc, but it gets resolved really fast, and then he just goes back to being kind of a creep. That's kind of it. So, is that Alpha, or is it Alvis? Because A is here, is somewhere on this list. I'm going to assume this is Alvis. Yeah, there's A. Yeah, I'll assume this is just Alvis. Because Alpha, I would put like, I don't know. Alpha, I'd put in C tier. Just because, like, N kind of steals his thunder. Like, yeah, he's kind of just like Klaus. He's basically just Klaus in Future Redeemed. He's not really much of. He's not like a whole character in that game. Alvis, easy S tier. I think he's got. I think it's really interesting that he like pretends to team up with Zanza. And I think that, Alvis really carries a lot of how I feel about Xenoblade 1, because without him, the game is, it's thematically interesting, but there's not like this sort of peek behind the curtain that happens at the end. And, every time Alvis shows up, the game jumps a number score, right? So yeah, I think Alvis absolutely S tier character. Miyabi, I like her relationship with Mio, but I think that other than that, she's kind of flat. She's kind of just Chris again, and I don't even think Chris is on this list. So yeah, I like Miyabi, but same thing with Gray. Like, she's a little flat. You, I don't remember. You are in D tier. I don't care about you. Alexandria, B tier. I think she represents the like moral grayness of Kevis and Agnes really nicely. Hugo, bit goody two shoes. I like him in C tier. I think he's good. I I think his death is really interesting in Torna. I think his death is really, they do a good job of like one of the party members died, not just our friend, but a party member died as a result of what happened. So yeah, I think Hugo's really cool, but as a character, he's kind of just C tier for me. Amalthus, I'm gonna put him in B tier. They spend a little bit too much time on him. I think he kind of has the opposite problem of Zanza of being he's like he's got like the backstory, but then he just is so evil it kind of overrides that, and it's just kind of annoying. I don't know. Nicole, I like him in Shulk's combos. I don't know. The problem with Nicole is that I feel like every time he's on screen, he's there propping up what another character is doing. And, it's great to have like a Tails style character, right? Like a sidekick of sorts. But I don't know. Nicole, where Glimmer, she is loud and expressive, Nicole is very reserved, and I just think I prefer somebody like that, somebody like Glimmer when it comes to a character arc like that, because Nicole is more about coming into his own, whereas Glimmer, I think she thematically works with a lot of what happens in Future Redeemed. So I think I'll put. I think that's a bit mean to Nicole. I'll put him top of B tier. I like him a lot. Jin S tier. I'm actually also going to cheat because I think Jin and Malos. Oh, Alvis is he does have a different spot. Okay, this is Alpha, in which case, B tier. Alpha is B tier, and I saw Alvis. Alvis is an S tier. We'll get to A because I think A deserves to be spoken of separately. But Jin, great character, probably the best villain in the franchise. There are antagonists, but then there are characters like Jin who could easily have been the star of their own game. Again, I would direct you to Luxon's video on how, Xenoblade 3 makes you align with the villains of 1 and 2, because I think it's a really interesting thing. I think it's true in a lot of ways. I like Jin a lot. I think Jin's great. I won't cheat. Actually, will I cheat? No, they're different enough. I don't remember you very well, but I also know I don't like you. Adam, I think is an A tier character. I think he is played a little too straight, and as such, I'm actually gonna bump him down to B, because I think he's a little too like upstanding for Torna, right? I think Torna, like Jin, we already have Laura, right? Like, why do we need Adam other than for Mithra and Pyra's backstory, right? And it's good to have a hero, but I don't know. He's kind of just Rex again, which is weird because he came before Rex, but yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that they refuse to show his face in the base game, but then in Torna he's got this design that's very not mysterious. So yeah, I like him, but I don't think he's all that. Ethel, I'm gonna put in A tier. I think she's great as like the first hero, as the first kind of obstacle that the party faces, right? Uh, yeah, there's not much else to say about her. It is a little weird that she comes back to life, but I think overall, Ethel is an A tier character. Dixon, same thing. Well, not the same thing, but I think he's. I just love his heel turn, and I was a little bit suspect of him for a while, but I love that he just shoots Shulk like there's no two ways about it. He just shoots him. Yeah, I Dixon's great. He gets a little sort of pushed to the side by the end, but I still like him a lot. Eno, C tier, kind of just a lesser Poppy in my mind. She's kind of funny, but other than that, there's not a whole lot there. I think this might be an X character. No, I don't know who you are. Maybe I should. Oh, whoops. Maybe we'll come back to him. Xeon, C tier, kind of just a hero. Not much else to hear. No, not much else there. Dromark, kind of just a side character. C tier. I don't know. There's not a lot there. same thing. I like Dromark, but I don't think there's a whole lot to say. Senna, I'm gonna put in A tier. I like her arc. I like that she. Oh, how do I put this? I like that she is very much, Mio's best friend, but also, becomes besties with Lance, has a dynamic with Tyon and Noah. Just, it's a strength of the Xenoblade 3 party that a lot of other games don't manage, even in the genre, right? Is like everybody has a relationship with everybody else, right? Like, Noah and Mio talk to Tyon specifically at one point in the game, and it's just like, it's a little jarring almost because, Noah and Mio are the mandatory couple, right? Like they're supposed to be talking to each other. Why are they talking to Tyon, right? And Senna, I think, feels largely the same way. I think she suffers a little bit just because she is off to the side a little bit more, and the Agnes trio definitely get less material than the Keves trio. So, I think A tier is a pretty good spot for her. Yeah. Fiora, I gotta put Fiora top of B tier because I like her and I was glad she survived, but she is kind of just like a Shulk. She's kind of just the Shulk support unit. Um, yeah, and actually, same thing for Dunban. I think Dunban, resident. I don't know how to. He's kind of just resident mentor, and I like him a lot, but I just don't think I'm actually more interested in him in terms of his relationship to Shulk than I am him as a character. Uh Brigid, I'm gonna put in B tier. Uh I don't know. There's not much to say. I think it's kind of the same thing where like she is so defined by her relationship to Morag that it's just kind of hard to separate them. Um, and I don't think I think, her, what happens with a lot of the blades in 2 is they all kind of end up feeding into either Mithra, Nia, or Jin and Malos's arcs, right? And I like Bridget, but do I like her independently of any of those characters? I don't know, right? Gondor, she's funny. I appreciate how foul mouthed she is. Not much else there. Don't remember you very well. Didn't do your quest the last time I played. Mithra. Okay, so I am going to cheat here. I'm going to take Pyra, Mithra, and Numa. Actually, I'm going to exclude Numa because I don't feel like she's enough of a individual character. Oh man, it's so hard. I'm gonna put Mithra in S tier and Pyra at the bottom of A tier. Because it's kind of weird that they treat Mithra as somebody who suffers from dissociative identity disorder, but then do very little to separate Pyra and Mithra. In fact, they do more to unite them in being Numa rather than continue to separate them up until the end of the game. Right, up until the very end of Xenoblade 2. Now, that said, Mithra has some of the best writing in the franchise. Pyra has a great introduction to the world. And I think she meshes really nicely with Rex. Whereas like Mithra feels a little independent of him, which is good. I think that's a good thing. But I think Pyra really is solid as like a partner to Rex. But yeah, I really like them. I would like if their designs weren't the way they were. I think that they're a little bit jarring, especially given the quality of the writing is just, it does just kind of feel a little weird. Yeah, I don't know. Shulk, S tier, probably my favorite protagonist. Probably my favorite of the main protagonists, at least. I think he has a really solid arc. I really like that he's basically a Kingdom Hearts character, right? He has all of like the same trappings of a Kingdom Hearts character, and I really like that. Yeah, not much else to say there. Just really solid character, really thematically relevant to the franchise. He's the one that kind of started it all. Speaking of Matthew, basically the guy from Xenogears, as far as anybody can tell. I'm gonna put him kind of mid A tier. He's kind of just fun to watch. He's definitely one of the most expressive characters in the franchise and in Future Redeemed as a whole. A lot of 3 is more like muted character acting, whereas Matthew is just like he's kind of loud and he punches people in the face, and I love him for that. But I don't know, I think being the star of a DLC he's going to be a little bit harder to have. It's going to be a little harder to make him have an impact. But I think he does do better than Adam, just as a result of being a lot more generally entertaining. And I think this is true of Future Redeemed next to Torna generally. Like, I think those two expansions differ in Torna being much more dramatic and much more interested in its thematic material, whereas Future Redeemed, there are themes and it is like emotionally impactful, but it's also just entertaining from start to finish, right? This is X, so everything I said earlier applies. I don't know which Mobius this is. I think it might be the one that teams up with Euron. And in that case, he's got a cool backstory, I guess. But other than that, Malos, S tier, right next to Jin. Oh, I don't know. What else is there to say, right? Like, everything I said about Malos, or everything I said about Jin, kind of applies to Malos, right? I think the one thing I'll say is I think it's really funny that Malos could literally be plopped into a Kingdom Hearts game and have all of the same like motivations, and it would still make sense. I think that's kind of funny. I think it makes sense just given where these two writers, where Takahashi has come from, and where Nomura currently is, right? So yeah, I like I like Malos. But yeah, I think that's kind of funny. I don't remember your name. I think you're kind of entertaining, but yeah. This is Tyria. Didn't see enough of her, and this is maybe my own fault. I'm gonna put her in don't remember just to make sure I'm being fair. But it was cool that she had kind of a heel turn or a turnaround in Future Connected, but other than that, it wasn't so much there. Ashera, I'm gonna put in A tier. I think she's got one of the more interesting hero quests. I think she's one of the more interesting heroes generally. And yeah, I just really like her. Obviously very useful for chain attacks. Very great party member in general. But yeah, I think Ashera definitely an A tier character. Morag, I'm going to also put in B tier, mostly because, aside from Nia, I think every Xenoblade 2 party member ends up feeling like an extension of Rex rather than their own characters. And while Morag and Zeke and and while everybody has their own arcs and everything, I do still feel I'm not as like interested in Morag as I am in Shulk, right? Especially not further in. And Xenoblade 2 having a lot of those like anime JRPG tropes really doesn't help matters. So yeah. Vale, it's something like that. I don't remember your name either. I Hayes, that's right, that's her name. C tier, she's pretty simplistic. I don't know. All right, we got Team Kevis next. Uni S, Lands A, Noah S. I'll put him a little bit higher. Put him behind Shulk. No, I'll put. Actually, wait. Okay, if I'm gonna order these, I'm gonna put them like that. Yeah. Um. So Uni, I think, is just a great character. I love that she's a Hyantia. I love that she is a healer, but also the most like outgoing out of the bunch, because usually healers tend to be more reserved. Um, yeah, and she's just funny, right? I think Uni's just funny, and I think she's great. Lan's great character arc. Suffers a little bit from definitely being the least focused on of the Keves trio. Um, but I love his dynamic with Senna. I love his dynamics with Tyon and Uni and Noah. And Riku, I think, the two of them kind of going, kind of sparring verbally constantly is fun. Um, yeah, I like Lance a lot. Noah, great protagonist. I always like a good me versus me self fulfillment thing. Um, but I don't think he quite matches up to Shulk, because Shulk had a very consistent thematic through line, whereas Noah, there is a he has a great character arc, but I don't think it always matches up with the themes. Poppy, I really like her sort of childlike approach to the world. And yeah, I think generally Poppy, I just really like Poppy. Monica, I'm gonna put you in. I'm gonna put you. Excuse me, got the yawns. I'm gonna put you top of B tier. No. No, I'm gonna put you like middle of B tier. I don't know. I just don't really care about Monica that much. I think I end up caring a lot more about Gondor. And Monica just kind of feels there for a lot of it. You, not worth my time. I don't even know who you are. Tyon, yeah, S tier character. One of the better arcs. I really like that he ends up feeling distinct from Mio and Senna. I think it would have been really easy for them to kind of fold him into the Agnian trio in a way that made him feel less distinct. But no, he has his own character arc. He comes from a different colony from before, rather than, Mio, Senna, and Miyabi were all from a specific colony. He's from a different one. Yeah, I think Tyon, great character. Actually, I'm gonna put him right above Uni. S tier is the only one I'm gonna be like really focused on organizing. Um, yeah, Laura. Uh, Laura, I'll put in A tier. I think she is also just another Rex, but her relationship with Jin gives her a bump, right? Ryan, I'm gonna put you top of B tier too. Actually, no, bottom of A tier, specifically because I think his friendship with Shulk is really solid. Uh, and I think they have one of the more fleshed out relationships in the main story for sure. Riku. I haven't played X. Pandoria. Um, I think she's fun. I'm actually going to cheat again. Where's Zeke? There he is. They made me laugh a lot. So and they have a great arc. So I'll give it to him. Valdi, one of the better hero quests for sure. I mean, good part of the main story too. I'll put him in like, yeah, kind of middle B tier there. I'm not like super big on Maldi, but I like him enough. Kamaravi, I gotta put him like a few steps down from Ethel just because he doesn't get as fleshed out as Ethel does. But I like him a lot. Z, same. He's with the other three non-sympathetic villains in Xenoblade. I don't know. I just don't think he's not like that interesting. And when you've played games with characters like him before, he becomes less shocking. That said, I think he's executed well enough. I just think that he's not like as neat as he could be. And I feel like it's the same way with pretty much all of these. It's the hero's writing that is the part of it that I'm really into in Xenoblade. Whereas like the mustache twirling villains tend to be a little bit one note for me. Nia, S tier character. Put her right behind Jin. Super great character. No complaints. Funny as heck. Just I love her a lot. Don't know who you are. Don't remember you well enough. This is Teach. I don't remember you well enough. Ricky. I like Ricky a lot. I think he's funny. I'm gonna put him in B tier with Dumba and Fiora. Not much else to say there. Niall, B tier character. I think she's good thematically, but as a character, she's kind of meh. Melia, S tier character, great character arc. Awesome to see her again in Xenoblade 3. I'll put her behind Alvis because I think I like Nia more than I like Alvis, but I don't think I like Melia more than I like Alvis. It's hard. I really like A. She is just Alvis basically. But I think, if nothing else, the Monado she has is really cool, right? She has her own Monado. It's a different one than we've seen before. I think it makes it just a little bit more disappointing that Pyra and Mithra don't have a Monado. But yeah, I think just because she has a Monado, I'll bump her up a few. Yoran, one of the better villains in 3. I'm gonna put him bottom of A tier just because he's not like that interesting, but he does enough. He does enough. Shania, I think same thing with Shania. Bottom of A tier. I like her enough, but she's not like that. She's not like all that, but I think she does like enough as a villain to earn her spot there. You, I don't remember you well enough. Even though like you're part of the main story, you kind of just feel a little flat. You, I think your name is Milos. I'm gonna give you, it's something like that. I don't remember though. I'm gonna give you B tier just because I really like that he was in Torna. You, I think you're an X character, so I'm gonna not worry about you. All right. Boom, boom. So I think this is Egil. And Egil, I'm gonna put him in A tier as well. Bet one of the better sympathetic villains. I still think 2 and 3 do their sympathetic villains generally better than one. Because one is a really solid work in terms of like the themes and the ideas, but when it comes to especially the antagonists, it feels like it's not quite on the same level. But I still really like Egil as a villain. Um, N and M, Jin and Malos tier. Yeah, I think they're basically the same as Jin and Malos, actually, just a little functionally different because M is, she's kind of an unwilling participant, whereas Jin and Malos, they were both very committed to the cause. But yeah, super solid. I don't remember you, and I'm excluding you three because mostly because Numa, I don't think is a character. I think she's basically just a fusion, and as such, I don't think she deserves to be her own entity. So yeah, that's the tier list. Thanks so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Have a great rest of your day.